Okay, I'm next. I'm Dean. I'm the Director of Student Services. To add to what Fabian said, this process is not a static thing. We're trying to improve it. So if you see some things in it, since I'm overseeing the process, feel free to email me, as I mentioned at the beginning. You could see on the slideshow my last name at tft.ucla.edu or come to 103 East Melnitz Hall. If you are submitting a large file, let's say a long screenplay or something that's just huge, try to upload your file on a line at UCLA. If you have a DSL server at home that might not be as quick, it may take a while for your file to get in. And if you're doing that on the last day, it may crash your computer. And we want you to make sure that you can get your stuff in as efficiently and effectively as possible. What I'm going to talk about are the other services on campus that gives you that can tell you about financial awards that you can get. You know, you could go on the web and search for awards and those sorts of things. However, some of those aren't up to snuff. UCLA has a lot of resources that you can go to if you're looking for money. So I'm going to talk about FAFSA, which we've talked about all the time, because that's the key if you're a US citizen or a permanent resident to getting as much money as you can, or as much awards, fellowships, scholarships that are available to you. I'll talk a little about the financial aid office, but as you know, somebody from financial aid is coming here today to talk. If you have a loan, I just wanted to inform you about the repayment options. Some things for grad students, some things for undergrads, and something for international students that their service is on campus. So FAFSA, the FAFSA website is this .ed.gov. Do not go to FAFSA.com. That's a bogus website. You want to make sure you go to this. Do it by March 2nd, as we mentioned. So if you want awards for next year, the big thing, do it by March 2nd. If you were wondering why you didn't get a work study, or if you didn't aren't available for some things this year, it's because you don't submit it by March 2nd. So do it by March 2nd. I know that your taxes are due in April, but still do this by March 2nd, and you can still change it as long as it's submitted by March 2nd. Again, it's only for US citizens and permanent residents. And so we say FAFSA several times, so you might hear it later. It's very important. So I'm just going to briefly touch on the financial aid office. As you know, we have a financial aid rep who we're still waiting to see. That's their website. They have something called MyFAO where you can actually look up specifically what you get from financial aid. There's a financial aid handbook that you can look at, those sorts of things. If you don't know, they have short-term loans that you can get there. It's $200 or $350 if it's for housing. These are non-interest loans that you could just borrow if you're a student, but you have to pay back by the 20th of the following month. And they have much more, which you'll learn about later. But one of the things we're going to talk about is if you do get a loan, there's a lot of options for you to repay your loan. If you don't know about this, you probably should look at it. I have the website for the loans that financial aid gives and for the repayment options. And I've given an example of the Stafford loan. You can see there's a standard level pay plan that most people know about. There's a graduated pay plan where you start small and go larger as we go. Extended repayment where you have more time to pay it off. And if your income is sensitive after you graduate, there's a couple ways to repay there. So I urge you, I'm not an expert in this, but go to this website before you leave UCLA so you know how to repay, what options you have to repay your loans. For grad students, if you haven't gone to the grad student website, Grad Division's website, the gdnet.ucla.edu, there's a link that says financial support. It'll give you this. There's 2 offices that the Grad Division has where you normally can get information about finances. The Graduate Student Support Office, which you see listed behind me, is the place where you go where they normally tell you you have to fill out a form, sign it, submit it into it's a window in Murphy Hall on the first floor. And there's the Office of Outreach, Diversity, and Fellowships. If you want to look up fellowships that are available to you, awards that are Grad Division related, go through there too. They have a system called Grapes, which is the bottom link here, which is a searchable fellowship website where you can actually see what fellowships might be available to you. If you go to the next screen, you can see they have a place where you can actually say, this is my discipline, this is what I want to do, and then they can show you what sort of awards are available to you. So if you haven't gone there and you're a grad student, you might want to make sure you look at Grapes to see other awards that are available to you. For undergraduate students, there's something called the Scholarship Resource Center. I don't know if any of you have gone there. It's up at the dorms. I know that some people have tried to find it in Murphy Hall, and it's impossible because it's not in Murphy Hall. It's at 233 Covell Commons. I put the website up there. It's primarily for undergraduate students. If you go up there and you're a grad student, they still will help you. They have books there. They have a lot of resources for you. They actually tell you all the valid and the scholarship search databases for undergrads to look for scholarships too. And they have people who work there who actually help you in your search if you have questions about it too. For international students, there's not a lot of funding that you could find, but there's now an international institute at UCLA. Before, they only had DashU, and the International Institute's pretty new. There's a website where you actually can search for funding available to international students. And if you haven't gone to this bottom website, the international website, that's a lot of great resources for the international students. But for international students, if you go to that funding webpage, it's also a searchable thing. You can see by center, by interest, what sort of things, and these are international funds that might be available to you. Okay, well, that's the end of my presentation. So any questions on the other resources here?
I was wondering, for the Grapes thing and the graduate division, is it also for international students or just for?
I believe it's for international. I think you could put that in there too.
Okay, and I have another question. Okay, for the upload of statements, like for the statement of purpose and all that, last year we had different options. So for different awards, like women-based or what, like you could upload different ones. You say that this year is just the same one for everything. So do we have to?
So when you do the donor awards, you'll have a chance to put your generic statement of purpose and your generic resume. However, if the award you're applying for has a specific statement of purpose, or you want to change up your statement of purpose, you have that option. It'll say, this is the statement of purpose we have on file for you for this award. Do you want to use a different statement of purpose? And you could choose yes or no. You could use the generic one or upload a special one for that. The generic one is the one that's going to go to everything unless you specify that you want it to be different. So it's not just going to be, that's going to be used for everything. Hi, I'm Dean. I'm going to talk about what financial aid would normally say. In fact, if you go to the resource that we showed earlier, where it has our movies, we did this last year, and we actually talked to some people in financial aid, so you could look at the movie to see the process that we're going to say. But I can tell you one of the things that normally happens is to determine your need, it's sort of like a pie. They want to see what it costs to go to UCLA, and for the people in the MFA program, they include the professional fees. And then they have what the expected family contribution that you have, and they subtract that to determine what your need is. The pie doesn't get larger unless you add things, as we mentioned. If you make a movie, if you buy a computer, you can make that pie larger. And there's forms that Danya's told you that she's going to email to you about to make that pie a larger pie piece. Otherwise, one of the questions was, what happens to my financial aid if I'm already at the end, I've used up the entire pie? This is why we tell you, when we give you the letter that you won an award, talk to financial aid. They can tell you what your options are. Danya can help you out a little. Financial aid will really show you what you need to do, and that's one of the things that they're going to work on. So this is this is one of the major reasons that we tell you to go to financial aid. The last thing we want you to do is take the money, you have financial aid, you never talk to them, and then you learn after the fact that you have to pay back. So we try to tell you to do this up front. That's the key thing that financial aid was going to talk to you about. They could tell you specifics about the program, but the best thing is to ask us. If you're worried that you're at your maximum, talk to financial aid before you take any award. And those are the options. And look at the video that we have online.